So here we go once again. So this is Roman Rudin's Strange Occurrence in the
Mm.
Region of the Heart, and we're reading The Wind in Rome. So it's over to Carlo. This is our second part,
Yes.
second section. Over to you.
So, just one thing before the start. I
Hmm.
have your photos, your pictures that cover the text. Uh,
Oh, is
um,
it? I didn't, wasn't
yes,
even aware
I
of
don't
that.
know.
Okay.
I don't know how to. Maybe it's a my screen issue problem. I don't know.
Oh, I can see what you're saying. Yes, yeah.
Ah,
Maybe.
okay. That's better.
There we go. Over
Okay.
to you. That's it.
So, I need the Celestian. Rome's main strength has always been her navy. And now, when that same fleet is twice daily suspended, shimmering somewhere between heaven and water, Rome is growing weak. Our enemies may soon learn of this. But what worries me more than anything else is the notion that those who dwell in the eternal city have already begun to forget what the wind is. And I am left with the two options, either to let them forget that it ever existed, or to do all in my power to return to the wind to Rome. I decide to talk to Celestian myself and to this, and I spend the whole of the following day making my way through the eastern outskirts of Rome, trying to remain incognito. I will help you, my sovereign. Celestion is glad I have come. Sorry, I will help you, my sovereign. Celestion is glad I have come. Not least as my money will soon run out, and my delightful companions, it seems, have forgotten how to blow. They didn't even bother trying to purse their lips today. Most likely, they have guessed that their client will not be able to keep his head above water much longer. On the way back, we run into an old woman coming the other way, almost before she has caught sight of me. She flinches and presses herself to the wall. The soldiers escorting me seize her by the arms, but I immediately order them to release her. In her eyes, I see madness, and I know who it is that stands before me. Tell me, kind woman, how to get back that which is lost without trace. The old woman lifts her hand and stretches it out to touch my face. Then she gazes long into my eyes. Finally, she says, in the mountains it was born, over the sea it was lost. Search in the place where you have not yet looked. You speak no sense, old woman. My rage surges within me. Do you want me to go on? To carry on?
Yeah, you could do. Yes, a
Okay.
little bit more.
She laughs mockingly, but seemingly she is none the less fearful of my demon hour, because cutting her laughter off abruptly, she finishes the words she had meant to say. You cannot return that which you did not possess.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Really, really good, actually. So, anything you want to ask about?
So I can't remember because I
Hmm.
shimmering, the meaning of shimmering.
It's something shimmering, it's sort of gently sparkling, you might say. So
Mm.
often the moon
Okay.
might shimmer on the water.
Mm.
So it's just the if there's waves on the water, a little bit of slight waves, you get this
Hmm.
sort of sparkling effect. I don't
All
quite
right.
remember where it was in the in here, but oh, here we
All
go.
right.
Yes, shimmering. Yes.
So glowing.
Yes, but you know how I, the word shimmering really fits into me, to my mind, say with the moon shimmering on the sea, perhaps. So there
Mm.
aren't too many waves, but there are some small waves on the sea. And if you look at the water,
Mm.
you see
Okay.
the moon, and it sort of wobbles and shimmers, is
All
how you
right.
describe it.
Okay.
If I just bring the dictionary up, it says, shine with the soft, tremulous light. So soft, tremulous. If it's the midday sun, I can't really see it being
Mhm.
soft. It's going to be a little bit, it's going to be quite bright. So
It is like you look up to the stars, that they shimmer
yeah, you might say,
instead of the planets,
strangely
that
for
they
this,
don't.
no, I don't think the planets won't really shimmer or
Because
because they're quite dull, aren't they? Quite, not
yeah,
really, no.
because I know that the light of the planet
Hmm.
does not shimmer
They're
instead of
steady.
the light of the stars. You can recognize
Hmm.
or you can make differences between one to another because the
Yeah.
stars used to shimmer,
Hmm.
sorry, and the planet don't.
I think that's true. Yes,
Planets
that's
don't, sorry.
okay. So I've just
Maybe, I
stuck
don't
up
know.
on the screen here something you were just saying. So we're saying shimmer. I think often we say the light coming from the moon, we'd often say shimmering.
Mm,
It's slightly more gentle. But with the stars, we probably don't say they shimmer. We might say the stars twinkle.
mm,
These two words go together. Stars twinkling, twinkle, and the moon, the light in some way is shimmering or shimmer.
mm.
That's right. Um, so if you go back to the story again, it's twice a day that the light that it's shimmering somewhere. And I'm assuming it's first thing in the morning when the sun isn't quite so strong, and then perhaps last thing at the end of the day again when the sun isn't quite so strong because it's low down. That's what I'm assuming, because it does say twice a day. That sort of fits in. You could probably use the word shimmering if it's the sun first thing in the morning and last thing in the day. It fits
Mm.
in. I mean, I'm sure you could use words any way you want, really, but it fits in with the correct effect. So
Okay.
yeah, shimmering. Anything else that was tricky for you?
No.
Oh, fantastic. Very good. I think I noticed there was a few words you said previously that you hadn't said quite right previously.
Mm.
What was it? And you, oh, incognito. Yeah, that's right. I think it was the word. Yeah. So some words like, yeah, I think maybe you said this word differently previously, but this time you're saying it the English
Mm.
way, sort of a thing. That's spot on. Well done. And I think sovereign as well. Sovereign. Yeah, that's right. I think that's true. Yeah. So do you
Sorry.
want to just reread that line there? Because I think you did overdid the R slightly, but you're saying it basically correctly. So let's just read that one line again. If I read it for you, perhaps to start with.
Yeah.
So I will help you, my sovereign. Celestian is glad I have come. So when you call somebody sovereign, you're basically you can only really say that to the king. You wouldn't say it to your boss at work or something like that, or your partner, unless you were mocking them, maybe. So I'll read it again. So I will help you, my sovereign. So do you want to give that a go again?
Yes.
That's it, great.
I will help you, my sovereign.
That's it, yes.
Celestian. Okay.
That's great. The end of the words maybe I noticed with pronunciation might be over here. So demeanor,
No,
demeanor.
demeanor. Okay.
Yeah, you've got it. That's it. Yeah. So my
Demeanor.
demeanor because etc.
Mm.
Yeah, I think you've got that spot on. And this is the old lady, the mad old lady. I think she sort of laughs. So, and I can't remember this one here, or perhaps the laugh just above. One of these ones. Just, in fact, just rereading this little bit here again. I'll read
Yes.
it to you to start with. So you're okay on it, really, but it's just the word laugh, and it's got demeanor too, isn't it? So she laughs mockingly, but seemingly she is nonetheless fearful of my demeanor, because cutting her laughter off abruptly, she finishes the words she had meant to say. You cannot return that which you did not possess. You'll go.
Mm. She laughs mockingly, but seemingly she is, nonetheless, fearful of my demeanor, because, cutting her laughter off abruptly, she finishes the words she had meant to say. You cannot return that which you did not possess.
Yeah. That's it, really, I think. I'd say your laughs are getting better, but it's still not quite there.
Mm.
Um, so maybe just stick it here, perhaps. I don't know if this really helps a great deal. So here I'm saying laugh, laugh. So if I,
Laugh.
oh, that's it. So it's more like LAR with an F on the end. So la, then a f,
Mm.
laugh. Yeah.
Laugh.
Yeah, spot on. Absolutely spot on. That's exactly it. Yeah. Well done. That's it. And then laughing, maybe.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Yes, go for it.
So I notice in the US they laugh
Yeah.
is just LAF, but you say like with R. You're like laugh, laugh. Like how like
Bam.
what is the difference?
Yeah, there definitely are differences between the US and Britain. Yes, very, very true. So if you go over to this dictionary here, so this is the Collins's dictionary. So if I stick in laugh, so there's probably two ways of saying it, laugh and laugh. Oh, and here we go. British and US, it mentions there. Oh, I stuck in a capital L, so it's come up with a slightly different. I scroll down. That's audience. So let's go down. They normally list British and American pronunciations. Oh, they haven't today. Let's just, if I take that, it's got a capital L. If I make that a small L, hopefully it will give me more precisely what I want to highlight here, I think. Okay, let's see if they're saying it slightly different to me. So I'm saying laugh. What are they saying?
Laugh.
Yes, laugh, basically pretty much the same. So we scroll down to the British pronunciation. That'd be the same as what we've just heard. That's the British one there. American English.
Okay.
Let's listen to this one.
laugh,
Laugh. So it's the vowel sound after the L, isn't it? So there's laugh and laugh. Laugh. So yeah, there are differences, and really you could probably say either way, and it would be understood.
Yeah, okay. I just asked because it's like something funny, like I noticed.
Laugh and funny, yes, very
Yeah.
true. There's a
Yeah,
lot,
yeah.
there's an awful lot of things like that. It's almost every other word, pretty much,
Yeah.
really. Um, and the Americans really heavily pronounce the R's, and the Brits often really sort of miss out the R's, you could say, on the whole, I would say. Um, so yeah, you've got that spot on, I'd say, Carlo. Laughs.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Laughs.
The other thing maybe is the word because.
Mm-hmm.
Because. I think you're because I think you're saying because.
Mm-hmm.
So it is sort of like it looks like two words. You got the word be, and then after you have the word cause. But we don't when they're both together making this completely different word, when they come both together and make this other word up, we sort of pronounce it slightly differently. So it's because. Cause.
Because. All right.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yes, because. So this cause at the end comes into like something like COZ, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Cause. Okay,
Okay.
that's it. What else was there? Something else. There was probably something else. I can't think what it was now. There was another word
I
here.
need leave now.
Okay, yeah. See you then.
Sorry.
See you next time.
See you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye, bye, Evgeny. Bye, Evgeny.
So we did demeanor, laughs,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't think of anything else. Anything? Any other questions from anybody else? On pronunciation or the meanings of words, which are a bit sort of obscure or difficult to understand. I think there was the word weak over here. So I think when you said it, it sounded a little bit like wick when you said this word, wick. So just say that word again.
Wick.
No, when you said it. So I read it to you. I think you're copying
Mm-hmm.
me. So So I would say this as Rome is growing weak. Weak.
Weak.
Yeah. Does that sound okay? Does that make sense?
Rome. Yes, yes, yes. Rome is growing weak.
Yeah. Yeah. So this word here it sounds exactly the same as in days of the week. So these two words sound exactly the same. You
Weak.
can't tell the difference. That's the correct saying way
Mm.
of saying it. Weak. Weak. But when I heard you,
Weak.
it sounded more like this, wick. Well, I think you said that
Wick.
originally,
Okay,
wick.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Weak.
weak. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, weak and wick. That's it. You've got it. Spot on. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Is it okay if we
Thank
scroll
you.
on to Ruslan? Okay.
No
So it looks
problem.
okay. I think we're going to overrun today in terms of time. So if you haven't had the time, if you have to go, please shoot off. But just as Yevgeny did. But do hang on if you can do, because I'll stay till everyone gets a read. So over to you, Ruslan. So we've read this bit here. Do you fancy rereading this last bit here, and then I'll turn the page over when you get to the bottom down here, maybe.
Yeah, okay, I will try. She laughs mockingly, but seemingly she is nonetheless fearful of my uh, demeanor because cutting her laugh off ab- abruptly. She finishes the words and she finishes the words she had meant to say. You can't return that which you did not possess. If you,
Let me just stop there for a second.
yeah,
Let me just reread that bit to you, that bit there.
okay.
Okay, and then perhaps once again you can read it second time. So she laughs mockingly. So if you mock someone, you're making fun of them in some sort of a way. So her laugh was like this,
Mhm.
something like that, sort of in a silly way almost. And considering the person who's speaking to her is basically in charge of Rome, perhaps the emperor or the king of Rome, that's a really powerful person. She's quite risky what she's doing. So she laughs mockingly. And then he says, but seemingly she is nonetheless fearful of my demeanor. So he is saying that, but she is somehow fearful of him. So she is showing him some sort of respect. When it says demeanor, demeanor is sort of how you look. So if you looked at someone, they might look like they're a poor person. They might look poor, or they might look rich, or someone might look powerful, or someone might look lazy. So there's lots of different things you could infer by just looking at someone. And that's really what demeanor is. So so the lady is fearful of his demeanor. So
Okay.
then it says, because because cutting her laughter off abruptly, so because she cut off her laughter abruptly. So she was laughing and then she suddenly stopped. That's what abruptly means. If you do something abruptly, you've done it suddenly, very suddenly. So she stopped laughing very suddenly for some reason. Then she says she finishes the words she had meant to say. So she sort of laughed in the middle of a sentence, it seems. So then she says, you cannot return that which you did not possess. So this is some sort of slightly mystical thing that she is saying to him. And we don't quite understand it. I think we probably could do if we really thought about it. And certainly, and I think when we turn over the page, the king doesn't understand it, or the emperor doesn't understand it. So do you want to just read that little bit again? That bit
Okay.
there. And hopefully it makes a bit more sense too.
She laughs mockingly, but seemingly she is nonetheless fearful of my demeanor. because cutting her laughter off uh, abruptly, she finished the words as she had meant to say. You can't return that which did not possess. If you find that which you have not lost, you might lose everything which belongs to you, and then, and also that which you are yet to have. For several days, both as I fall asleep and awaken, the old woman's words are on my lips. But even so, I can't decipher their meaning, and then I forgot about them. For at last Celestion appears, and I must speak to him with the senator's convent, whom he will soon persuade that a new military campaign, this time land based in Vital. As before, there is no wind. Rome is languishing in the heat. When it rains, I close my eyes, for can't bear to see the drops fall in perfect vertical lines. The rain brings almost no relief, but that almost is the sole thing which keeps my legions from immunity. If I don't send Celestion on a campaign to the east, they will bring him or someone else
Mhm.
to power.
Right. Let me hold you there.
Yeah.
Let me read that chunk back to that bit there. Let me read that bit again. So, and if you think of any words which, as I'm reading through, don't make sense, you're not sure the meaning or whatever, then ask me at the end. Okay. Someone's playing music. Is it okay if you mute yourself, guys? Okay, great. Silence has come back again. Here we go. So, okay, I'll read this bit here then. So, for several days, both as I as, but for several days, both as I fall asleep and awaken, the old woman's words are on my lips. But even so, I cannot decipher their meaning. If I stop there a second. So decipher, if you decipher, it means it's sort of like you're decoding. If you decipher something, you're decoding. So, but it says, I cannot decipher. So he cannot decode it or cannot understand their meaning. So what the old lady said, he can't quite work out what it means. He understands all the words, but what's the meaning? He can't work that out. So I'll carry on from here. So, and then I forget about them. For at last Celestian appears, and I must speak to him with the senators convened. So those two words there were a bit sort of, you were a little bit out when you said those words. So senators, they're a bit like sort of MPs or very important people that sort of make the decisions back in ancient Rome. So this is senators. And convening them just simply means they're all together in one place. So the senators have convened in one place, and normally when they're coming together, they're there to make a decision about something or vote about something. I don't know exactly how they did it back in those days, though. So, and it says, whom whom we will soon persuade, so persuade the senators, so whom we will soon persuade that a new military campaign, this time land-based, is vital. Okay. It says land-based because Celestian is in charge of the Navy, so it's a little bit unexpected, I guess. Then it says, as before, there is no wind. So Rome is languishing in the heat. And you said languishing, spot on. That's exactly how it said. That was really good. I was very impressed with that. So that's a tricky word. Languishing. Languishing. That's it. And that's what you said. That was good. So when it rains, I close my eyes, for I cannot bear to see the drops fall in perfect vertical lines. So the rain is coming down from the sky, but it's going straight down rather than at an angle because the wind might normally blow it, but there is no wind, so it's falling down in exactly straight lines. Okay,
Okay.
so the rain brings with this little bit here, I would I would almost I would probably give a lot more emphasis to the word almost because that's sort of like the key. Often it's a very key word, really. So when I read this, I'm going to give a little bit more emphasis to that word there. Not much, only a little bit. So the rain brings almost no relief, but that almost, and the second time I'm saying it, I'm giving a little bit more emphasis because he's highlighting the word. He stuck it in quote marks, these little quote marks, hasn't he? So the second time I'm saying it, I'm giving a little bit more emphasis this time. So I read a little bit again then. So the rain brings almost no relief, but that almost is the sole thing which keeps my legions from mutiny. So the legions are sort of like divisions of his soldiers. That's what they used to call their sort of groupings of soldiers back in 2000 odd years ago in the Rome. They particularly called them legions back then. It used to be about 1,000, used to be 100 soldiers, and then later on it was less than 100. So it roughly means some. I think. Oh well, let's just carry on. And so then have the word mutiny. So what is mutiny? Do you know what mutiny is, Ruslan?
Actually, it is like riots. Yeah, we can say
Yeah,
riots.
yeah, it's that sort of a thing, isn't it? But often with the word mutiny, we only use it. I think I'm right in saying when it's to do with the military. So when the military have a riot, it's actually called a
Okay.
mutiny. It's called a mutiny, and it's sort of where the soldiers are starting to they want to have their own government. They want to change who the leader is, maybe, or get rid of the system of government that they have. So when we say mutiny in English, it's basically talking about soldiers trying to change the government. In essence, that's pretty much what it is.
Okay.
There might be some other variations of it, but that's not most of the time, 98% of the time, how it's used, I would say. So I'll carry on from the last bit here. So if I do not send Celestian on a campaign to the east. So when it says campaign, there's a few different ways you can use that word, but he's talking about wars and fighting. So in other words, it's obviously a military campaign, some sort of military campaign to the east. They will bring him, or if he doesn't do this, they will bring him, so that's Celestian, or someone else to power. Maybe we'll stop it there. So, do you have
Yeah.
any questions about what we've read there,
Mm,
Ruslan?
uh, yeah, probably some
Yeah.
questions about pronunciation.
Yeah, go for it. Yes. Anything in
Yeah.
particular? We can
Uh,
practice
for
another word.
example,
Yeah.
this words which seems for me difficult. This is
Hmm.
decipher, yeah, decipher,
Right. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, decipher.
decipher.
Let's just practice that line there, maybe. We'll just read that through because when we practice a word, there's almost always words around it, and the words
Okay.
around it affect how you sort of say the word which follows it, sort of thing, or is the word which is before it, if that makes any sense. So words affect each other in a sentence. So I just read that little bit there then. So, but even so, I cannot decipher their meaning. So I'll say it again. But
But
even so, I cannot decipher their meaning. So your go now, Ruslan.
but even so, I can't decipher their meaning.
Yeah, yeah, that's spot on. You can't get any better than that, really, I would say. Yeah, decipher spot on, I would say. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, next one,
Anything.
what I want to say it is senator's covenant. Covenant.
Okay, let me say read this for you. So the two words at the end, the word you're struggling with, are senators convened. Senators
Ah,
convened. So
convene.
so we don't really use senators. We don't really use this in the UK, in Britain, because we don't have senators. But I think you have senators in Italy and senators in America, and some other countries have senators. But I don't know who else has them. But okay, so in the UK, we don't use this word really. And again, so convened is just bringing people together, bring people coming together for a meeting, probably. So do you want to just do these two words for the moment? So senators convened. Do you want to say both those words? Senators.
Senators convened.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty good. Let's do the whole sentence now, or half a sentence. So I must speak to him with the senators convened. I must speak with him with the senators convened. You'll go.
I must speak to him with the senator convenes.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. I've noticed a couple of times, and as happened before, of course, that sometimes you miss out the S at the end. I think you missed it out that time. And there was one or two other places where you missed it off, but it's not vital. But just be aware that you got to get the
Okay,
S on. Yeah,
senators convened.
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Senator.
yeah,
Okay,
that's pretty good.
and yeah, campaigning, campaign.
Yeah, that's
Mm,
pretty close. I'll give you
pretty
sort of
close.
80% on that, maybe. So let's read that bit there. So I'll read the two. So military campaign. So it's got this G in there, but it's one of those strange words, or ing really. That sort of we don't sort of pronounce that the way you might expect it to. So um, military campaign, military campaign. So I just read the whole sentence then. So new military campaign. This time land-based is vital. So military campaign. Your go.
Mm, a new military campaign, this time land-based, is
Yeah,
vital.
yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's proved. So with campaign, we sort of say it. If I just pop it over here, maybe. So it's sort of as if we're saying can, and then you have a pain in your leg or something. That's
Ah,
really what we're
yeah,
saying. Campaign. That's really what we're saying. Campaign.
campaign.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Yeah. And so yeah, there's a few words with this Paing, like something like champagne, the wine, or the
Okay.
the bubbly wine from Champagne, from France, I should say. That's got the same sort of sound on the end there. It's basically just pain, really. Champagne. Yeah, there are probably
Okay.
other words.
But I have questions.
Yes.
Champagne, it end with E,
Yes, you're
correct?
right. Yes. Yeah.
And why this one not end with E? If champagne end with E and this one is spelled with the G.
There's very little sense or the rules are always changing in English. See,
I
with
understand.
English, its origin is sort of very mixed and confused. Um, some words come from French that we use in English on a regular basis. Probably campaign is one of them, I think. Other words come from Germany that we use. Other words are Viking, like the word egg and sky. These all come from the Viking. The Vikings gave us these words. And other words, I can't think of some words now. So many different places the words come from. There's other words from Latin and Greek, of course, as well as, so in other words, Italy, you could say. So there's very little. If there's a rule for some words, that same rule won't necessarily apply to other words. Probably because they've came from another sort of source. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah,
But the
yeah,
rules, there aren't any rules. But if there are, they only apply to a few of the words. And although you might think it applies elsewhere, it probably doesn't, because
yeah,
English is such a mixed up language.
yeah, I understand. But no problem. Thank you for explaining.
Okay.
Thank you for explanation.
Yes. Okay. So there we go, Ruslan. That's that little bit there. That's military campaign. Anything else?
Yeah, let me say it again.
Hmm.
Languishing, languishing.
Yeah, when you read that out the first time, you were spot on. That's exactly how it said. Yeah. So
It was
you're a
by
little bit, you're a little
mistake.
bit out now, but you're good. You were fantastic at the time. Yeah.
Allah Akbar!
Yeah,
Okay.
it was
So
unpredictable.
so let me just read that bit out to you then. So, as before, there is no wind. Rome is languishing in the heat. So Rome is languishing in the heat. Languishing. Do you think you know what the word means? Do you have an idea what it means?
Languishes.
Rome is
It just
languishing.
means like a very, very hot. Yeah, languishing.
It's using that.
Melancholy is
Yeah,
like melancholy.
it's like what? Sorry.
Melancholy, malanconia in Italian.
Oh, the word languishing. Oh, okay.
It
S-
is like the word melancholy.
ah,
Write in this way. I write in the chat. Melancholy.
okay. So let me just read, while you're doing that, let me read the dictionary here. So, languish. So, and it says number one, of a person or animal or plant. Plant, didn't expect that. Uh, lose or lack vitality, grow weak. Plants may appear to be languishing simply because they are dormant. Then it says fail to make progress or be successful. So it's not really about the heat particularly, but you can often use it when you're referring to heat. So it's not really necessarily about the heat though. So if I just say the first bit again, so it's about people or animals or things lose or lack vitality, grow weak. Is basically what it means.
Okay, it is like a grow weak. It is did not maintain. Can we say like this? For
Um,
example, yeah.
let's put it in the dictionary here actually. So have I spelled it right? Yeah. Oh, I missed out the G somehow. I don't know how I did that. I just typed in languish again. Languish. So if someone, so it means to decline, waste away. If we go straight to the synonyms. So waste away, fade away, wither away. So plants might wither away. And you might say people would wither away in the heat and plants wither away in the heat. So it does get used with heat a lot. Then it says waste away, suffer. You can suffering or rot,
Mm.
to be abandoned. There's lots of few different meanings there. Um, but if you've got nothing to do and you're just because you're waiting for something to happen, perhaps you're waiting between jobs, you might say you're languishing. You're sort of wasting away doing nothing. But it isn't particularly hot. You just got nothing to do. But you could say you're languishing. It's a bit of a stretch to say that,
Mhm.
but.
Okay.
So you asked another question. I missed what it was. So that's languishing. What was your other question?
Oh, other. Oh,
Or any?
I meant just only this. Yeah, and
Hmm,
yeah, probably the last one is if we see vertical lines, it is means
yeah.
it just means like a upside down or no
Not
or
really. No.
not really. Yeah.
So if I just So at the bottom of the page where my cursor is, there's a line going across the bottom here. Can you see this line down here?
Yeah, vertical.
So
Okay, yeah,
this line here is horizontal.
yeah. This is horizontal. Yeah,
So
but
that's it. So
then
it's the opposite of that. So what's
yeah.
the
Okay,
opposite of that?
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you
okay.
could say there's a white line up the middle of the page here, and it's sort of. You could say that's a vertical line.
Vertical lines.
Right. So
Okay, okay.
straight up and straight down, sort of thing. Sort of
Yeah,
90
but
degrees. This.
but to replace vertical, for example, is it possible to say a straight line?
If it's a vertical line, it would have to be straight. But a straight
Um,
line could be going at 45 degrees, could be going up at an angle, or it might be at no angle,
um,
or it might be straight up into the air. So, and yeah, sort of know what you're saying, but not really.
okay,
So,
okay.
I'm not sure if there's any words that you could replace vertical with,
Yeah,
really.
probably, yeah.
You might say straight up, straight up. That would be
Straight
vertical.
up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could say straight in that sense, yeah.
And yeah, the last one, solo. Yeah, solo, or it
S-
is different.
oh,
Cole. Yeah, it is.
so this
Say
is this is soul, soul.
so.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah. So if I just
So.
read that like that half a line there and try to explain it a little bit. So this is they're talking about, this is the king or the emperor talking about his military, and that it might somehow start a riot or a mutiny and try to overthrow him and put a new government in power. He's talking about that. Then he says, but that almost is the sole thing which keeps my legions from mutiny. So the almost is the rain keeping people a little bit cooler. And when he says the soul, he means that is the only thing which keeps my mutinies, my soldiers, from rioting. So the word soul you could replace with only. So soul in this sense means only. Only.
Okay, so,
So soul, soul. So it's a little bit like if you're the only person at work at 7 o'clock in the morning and others aren't there, it's just you, you could say, I was the sole person there. You could say, I am the sole person there. So it's exactly the same pronunciation as this word. So these two
um,
words sound exactly the same.
so,
Soul, soul. So your soul is something like your spirit. This soul over here is like your spirit, you might say, or your
yeah,
essence, what makes you up. Some people would debate what this word means exactly, but basically it means something like that. And this soul here, it can mean a couple of things. It can mean only, you're the only person there, or I'm the only something. But it could also be the sole of your shoe. You know, your shoe's
okay,
got a heel at
yeah,
the back, and
yeah,
the bottom, the most of your foot is your sole, or the sole of your foot as well, of
so,
course, where your skin is. The bottom
okay,
side of your foot is your sole. That part of your foot, which isn't the heel, I should say, and the toes, I guess. Yeah, that's a good
yeah,
question. That is, yeah, 'cause it's amazing. It means so many different things. Your foot and one. If all of us only had one foot, then it might make sense. But that's just how it is, isn't it?
mm.
Okay. So anything else there? Anything from anybody else at all? Anything else? So legions are what they used to call their soldiers, based on land, normally in ancient Italy at this, or ancient Rome at this time. So mutiny. So what was the definition of mutiny, Ruslan?
Yeah, as you said, it is between soldiers, some riots, yeah,
Yeah,
as they want to change your commander or something else.
yeah, yeah. That's it. Yes. So if I read the little dictionary here, it slightly disagrees with me, and I think they're probably correct. So, an open rebellion against the proper authorities. So the authorities might be the king or something, especially by soldiers or sailors against their officers. A mutiny by those manning the weapons could. Then it goes on to an example. Yeah, that's it. So mutiny, you've got it. Well done. And what was this bit up here? What do these two words mean? So do you remember this one was? Do you want to say these two words again?
Yes, for senatorial convened.
Ah, you got the convene spot on. Convene spot on.
Convened.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Convened.
this one here, you've gone back to your first pronunciation. So every time you've read it out, in a Monday as well, you've said this sonatas. You say sonatas, but we just don't say it that way. In English, it comes out as senators. Senators.
Senator.
Yeah.
Senator.
Yeah. Senators. That's it. You got it. You got it. So, any questions from anybody else? No. Okay. Great. So, thank you very much, Ruslan.
Thank you.
So, two or three people have gone and left and come back again. So, I don't quite know who's here. So, is Elisa here? Elisa?
Yes, yes, sorry for the late, but there was a problem, a very bad incident in Milan.
Yes. Oh, yeah. The
Uh,
trams, wasn't it? The
the tram,
tram.
yes,
Yeah.
I was there. That
Oh,
was
no.
happen in a few minutes.
Hmm.
Yes, I
You
saw.
weren't actually there, though, were you?
Yes, two people. I saw one woman to be um,
Injured?
no
And
take out of the tram, and
hmm.
it was under the tram.
Oh,
It
crumbs.
was
Wow.
take off, but he was dead.
Oh, dear.
Yes. It was a little bit hard for
Yeah.
me
Of course
because
it
I
was.
take this line.
Yeah.
I always take this line when I go to Milano
Mm.
without my car.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit upset
It,
because I could be there on the bus.
yeah. Wow.
So is the
So what caused it? What caused this thing to happen?
the change, the exchange. It doesn't run. The exchange doesn't run. Didn't. Sorry,
That's
my
okay.
sister. No, my little nephew that want to say me good night.
Oh, okay.
So, eh, il cambio, le rotaie, the exchange, the, there's a
The,
line
mm,
that,
the railway exchange, Tony,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
when they have to change the
yes,
direction of the train. You know?
it
Okay.
So it does the work. It did the
didn't
work.
run, doesn't run.
Mm.
So this line have in this point have to straight on, and there are two other lines that turn on the left. This line have to straight on, but I don't know why the exchange is it was on the left, so
Oh,
it, it turned upset.
oh dear.
No, is it was so strange, the dynamic. He, uh, he go through a palace, broken the window of a restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very, very strange. And if I think that I could be on on the on this time, I was so uh, I'm here.
Yeah, you made it. Yeah. Wow. So, yeah, thanks for telling us about that. It's obviously very difficult, I know.
Is the reason why I'm link later.
Sorry?
Is the reason why
Oh, well,
I
you're late. Yeah.
I'm late. Yes.
There, in a sense, there isn't really a start time to this meetup
Ah,
on
okay.
Zoom. Just come when you can. But if you come at the beginning, generally, if you're the first person here, you get the first chance to read, and also you can then go if you wanted to. So you can leave after half an hour.
Okay.
So there is an advantage of getting here early. But if you come at the very end, last 10 minutes, you might get just 5,
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes of chat sort of thing, or reading. So you might not get the best of it. So the earlier you get here is the better for you, I suppose. So are you okay to read a little bit here, perhaps from here onwards? Are you okay to read, Elisa?
Yes.
Or do you just want to? Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, you just perhaps if you start down here where it says the ruler of such a huge empire. So this is the Roman Empire he's referring to, and I think it's the emperor himself who's speaking. So, but we don't know who it is or exactly when this is. So it's over to you, Elisa, down
The
here.
ruler of such a huge empire as that of Rome must constantly maintain the infinity difference between himself and his subjects, that is, no, subject, that is, in fact, the mind infinite, sorry, the mind infinite difference between the ruler and the many citizens of Rome who are just waiting for the moment when I become, even if only slightly the same as them, the same as everyone. The endless military campaigns, the necessity for constantly expanding the empire's borders, may simultaneous presence in several places at once, which is quite inexplicable to the masses. It is, of course, in fact, due to the skillful spread
Mm-hmm.
of rumors, no, spread of rumors, no, rumors,
Mm-hmm.
rumors to that effect. All of these are the inevitable attributes of power, no less than my places, my legions, and my concubines. My concubines. My head used to be turned more by the impetuous gallop of a mare
Mm-hmm.
with mane tossing in the wind by an untamed, untamed, her, untamed herd of horses down at the shore, io non ci vedo, shoreline, challenging the wave and scattering the form with their hooves. Devo andare avanti. I go. I can watch that forever. At least I could until the wind vanished. Maybe this is why I have always preferred to campaign against naval powers despite the seasickness.
Yes, that's it. That was pretty good. Pretty good,
I,
considering. So, tell you what, let me just reread to you this section at the end, because this is probably perhaps the hardest bit, I think.
mm,
So let me read it. I'll try to read it as best I can, or maybe I will stop every so often. I don't know quite what I'll do here. So here we go then. So I noticed quickly he's got 3 dots after concubines. That seems to imply reading this first little bit in a different way to how we might normally read it or say it out loud, I guess. So I'm going to interpret that as a bit of a gap, or he's going to say this word in a slightly unusual way. So let me just give it a go. So, my concubines. My head used to be turned more by the impetuous gallop of a mare with her mane tossing in the wind, by an untamed herd of horses down at the shoreline, challenging the waves and scattering the foam with their hooves. I can watch that forever. At least I could until the wind vanished. Maybe that is why I have preferred to campaign against naval powers, despite the seasickness. And it says despite seasickness, so that's an illness. So a lot of people suffer with seasickness. It's when you feel ill when you're on the sea. You're on a boat on the sea, and the up and down motion makes you feel ill. So that's seasickness anyway. So of those, this last little chunk here, what sort of words do you not really understand the meaning of? Are there any words here you don't understand the meaning? So concubines are ladies. They're sort of married to the king or someone important, but they don't have the same position or status as a wife. They're sort of much lower status, but they can still have quite a bit of status and power. But so, any other words that you might not know the meaning of, like impetuous? Yeah,
yes. In this piece or in
just
which
this little bit down here, what we just
okay.
read, just this whole
Mare,
bit. Yeah.
mare,
So,
mare.
all right. So, mare. So he's talking about the sea, and he says mare. So this is a bit confusing. In English, the word mare just means a female horse. It just means a female horse. In French and obviously in Italian has different meanings, as in sea, etc. Okay. Um, yeah. Okay. There we go. Anything else? That's a
No,
female.
no, un attimo.
Oh yeah.
Tossing.
So the mane is the hair on the back of the head and neck of the horse. That's the mane. And as it's going along, it's flipping its hair in the wind. The hair is just blowing about from one to side. And it says in the wind. If a horse is galloping, you can
Ah,
guarantee the
ok.
hair, the mane, in other words, is moving around in an unusual way. So,
E poi an untamed herd of horses.
okay. So if I say these 3 words for you, so untamed herd of horses. So I'm saying the H here. I'm saying the H. I think you missed it out maybe. So the first word is untamed. So if something's untamed, it's basically wild. It's a wild animal. So basically all lions, you could say, are untamed. Maybe even lions cannot be tamed. I don't really know. Okay. So, and a herd is really a group of animals, a group of animals. Well, it could be a group of people too, I suppose, but normally normally talking about some sort of an animal. And obviously we know what horses are, don't we? So just want to just say those 3 words or those 4 words there again, just to practice them. So it's untamed herd of horses. Just want to say it again?
Untamed herd of horses.
Okay. You're sort of missing out the H when you say horses.
Horses.
You're saying, oh, that's better. Yes, horses. Most of the time we pronounce the H when it's at the very first letter. Most of the time, not always, but most of it. Okay.
Horses.
So let me just say it again. And when you said your untamed was spot on, but you didn't really quite get the tense right at the end. The D was very quiet. I think you did say it, but it was so quiet it was a bit lost. So if I say it once again, and I'm going to try and make the D clear, but I'll say all of these words again. So untamed herd of horses. So you'll go untamed herd of horses. Once again.
Untamed herd of horses.
Yeah. It is quite subtle, that D on the end, or it can be, but I'm not hearing it even slightly when I'm listening to you just then. Well, I said it twice. The first time I said it quite strongly, and the second time I said it really weakly, but it was still just there. So I'll just say just this one word again, because you're losing the tense on the end. So I'll say it once more. I'll say it once more. So untamed, untamed.
Untamed.
Yeah, okay.
Untamed.
Yeah, okay. That's
Untamed.
yeah, that's it. You're getting it. You're getting it. That's it. So that's a word that's probably worth practicing, I think. Or maybe, and I think maybe there was another one other place where the ed was wrong somewhere. I can't think where it was now, but it doesn't matter really. Okay. So any other words there you want practicing in this last section here, this last paragraph, or you want to check the meaning, perhaps?
Hooves.
So hooves are the sort of the hard feet of these
Okay.
animals. So cows have hooves. I think goats have hooves, but not all animals have hooves. So it's a particular arrangement of their feet. Horses have hooves, but not all animals. So yeah, that's that.
Okay.
Anything else?
Oh, sorry. Seasickness. Is
Oh, I did actually say at the end, it was the very first thing I said. So what do you think it might be? Any idea what it might be?
is someone that feel not very well on
Yeah,
the
that's
sea.
it. Exactly. Spot on. That's it. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'd say a lot of people suffer with this. Not everybody, but it happens quite a lot of the time.
Me too.
Yeah. And maybe you don't suffer from it, and then all of a sudden you do have it. So it's very strange and unpredictable. But it's just often it's just the movement, the irregular movement up and down. Just it's very jarring to your stomach sometimes. So with these words in this last section again, so maybe this word here, in English, we say this as navel, navel. And I think you said no,
Naval.
navel. That's it,
I
yeah,
say
navel.
naval.
Yeah, but it come, for whatever reason, we say it's navel. Yeah, it's strange, isn't it?
Neighbor.
Yeah.
Neighbor.
In truth, it really wants an E there, doesn't it, to be navel, I suppose. But there is another word that has E there, and that's like your belly button. Your tummy has a little belly button on it. That's if you put an E there, that's navel. But both the words, the
Neighbor.
boat navel and your navel and your tummy, both sound the same, but they're spelt differently. Hopefully that makes a little bit
Neighbor.
of sense. Okay. So what about scattering the foam? What is that little bit, those 2 or 3 words there? What
Uh,
does that mean?
former, I think former is the top of the wave.
I suppose so. Yes,
Uh,
it kind
the
of is, but I think, but what is it? What is it really? What is foam? Because I can do the washing up later on today, and I will have foam in my kitchen sink when I'm doing the washing up.
past
That's got
foam.
nothing to do with the sea.
Because I think this because there's a bath
Hmm.
for
Yes.
wash
Yes.
myself under the shower.
But what is foam? You mentioned lots of things where you're correct, but what
I,
is
I,
foam?
I think
Mm,
in Italian is
yeah.
schiuma,
Oh, okay.
la schiuma in cima,
I don't know Italian.
the,
That's my
at
problem,
the
though.
top of the wave, I
Yeah.
think is
Yeah.
the form.
True. Exactly. It's exactly where it is. But what is foam? What is it? What is it? Not where is
What?
it, but what is it? So you've said you have it in the bath, and I've said I have it in my kitchen sink sometimes, and here we can see it's on the sea. What is it? What is it?
I don't know, but
Ah, you don't know. Okay.
in my hobby form is polystirolo.
But uh, you've lost me there.
Is a thing.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's polystyrene form.
So I've just put
I,
the foam into
I
the
don't
dictionary.
know.
Let's see what the dictionary says about foam. So it says here, consists of a mass of small bubbles. That's really what foam is. It's lots of small bubbles.
Uh,
So when I'm doing the washing up, so I'm cleaning up my lunch things or my breakfast things, my knives and forks and bowls and plates. When I wash them, I get lots of bubbles because that's the soap bubbles. You could call that foam. Foam. Okay, there we go. That was funny. Okay, so what does the word scattering mean? Just to test you a little bit further.
I think it means that wave and structure info divided.
Sort of, I suppose so, in a way. But it could you could be much more exact. So you're in the right area, but
Um,
do you want me to tell you or
I don't know.
you don't? Oh, fantastic. Okay. So if something is scattered, it's thrown around in a sort of chaotic or haphazard fashion. Haphazard simply means not planned, not really organized. It's sort of here, there, and everywhere without a real pattern. So there's no pattern to it. So what's happening is, so these horses, these untamed horses, a herd of them, so it's a group of horses, are down at the shoreline. The shoreline is where the sea meets the land. And they're running around quite fast and they seem to be enjoying themselves. That's how I picture it anyway. And if they're untamed, that probably means nobody really owns them and they're just in charge of themselves. No one's organizing them. They're running around as a herd on their own. And they're at the place where the water meets the land, that's the shoreline. And as they do that, they're running around through the water and it's moving these bubbles into different places. As they run through the water, these bubbles are flying everywhere. They're going up into the air, they're going out into the sea, some of them, and some of these bubbles are going onto the land, onto the sand, presumably. Some might be landing on the horses' bodies. That's really what scattering is. And it's basically being caused by their hooves, which is basically their feet. So this is quite exciting, and it's reasonably well described. I think it's quite well described. And this is what the king or the emperor is thinking about when he this is the idea that comes to his mind when he thinks of my concubines, my concubines. Okay. So anything else in the rest of the passage you want to ask about, Elisa?
Sorry?
Is there anything? So we looked at this little bit here,
Ah, no,
down
no, no.
here.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. What about this word here, maybe? How do you say that word?
In the same time. At the same time.
That's it, yes. When two things happen at the same time, they might be in different places. You can say it's this is the word to use. How do you pronounce this word though?
Simultaneous. Simultaneous
You're
presence.
pretty close. Yeah, that's pretty good. So but we say it more as simultaneous. Simultaneous.
Simultaneous.
Yeah, yeah.
Simultaneous
Sim-
presence.
Presence. That's it. Yes, that's pretty good.
Presence.
That's really good actually. Um, Thinking about it, if I go back down here again, sorry to go back on this one again. So there was this word here. So this is impetuous. Impetuous. So and with this word here, it sort of means doing something without really thinking about it, just sort of doing it whenever you want. Remember, this is the horses that we're talking about. So young people tend to be impetuous. So there's this feeling of youthfulness, I suppose. Okay. Yeah, I missed that word there. Anything else? Uh, so what about the meaning of this thing that we've been reading? Anyone have any comments about this? I see we've been going on quite a time reading this. Does anyone else have any comments or anything? It's quite interesting. I think I think I do see some interesting. So do you have any feelings about this, Elisa, that the thing you just read? Does it speak to you in any way or
No.
not really? Okay. Um, I think you missed the first part of it, so that makes it a little bit difficult, doesn't it? It's interesting what it says. So let me read the whole of that bit back to you, the whole of this thing maybe. Up to there, perhaps I'll read it too, because we've already read this bit below. So I'll read this bit here. So the ruler of such a huge empire as that of Rome must constantly maintain the infinite difference between himself and his subjects. That is, and when he says that sort of is, I'm now going to explain what I mean in more detail when he says that is. So that is, in fact, the main difference between the ruler and the many citizens of Rome who are just waiting for the moment when I become, even if only slightly, the same as them, the same as everyone. Almost said everybody. So I
Mhm.
struggled with everyone just then. So the endless military campaigns, the necessity for constantly expanding the empire's borders, my simultaneous presence in several places at once, which is quite inexplicable to the masses. It is, of course, in fact, due to the skillful present, the spread of rumors to that effect. All of these are the inevitable attributes of power, no less than my palaces, my legions, and my concubines.
She has gone, Tony.
Yes, that's okay. Yes. I heard somebody had gone.
Yeah, is Elisa.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Hmm.
So let's end the recording at that point,
Hmm.
and maybe we'll discuss it a little bit as well.
Okay.